So today it's my delight to have a short conversation with Caroline Anderson and Catherine Drosky from America about their upcoming workshop, the Co-Creators Workshop. And I just want to show you the Co-Creation Handbook, Co-Creators Handbook. And maybe you can share with us what brought you in to become experts, basically, to share your wisdom about co-creation with people in their workshop, in a workshop.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was actually a surprise. For me, all these processes came through in 1983 when I was working with Barbara Marx Hubbard on her campaign for a positive future. And at the time, I couldn't have used these words, but what happened was that my husband, Sanford, and I were working with Barbara and with a team of 12 people. There were 6 men and 6 women. And we created together this resonant field. And in that field, these practices came through me. And so I would say that I'm encoded with them. And after the campaign, Barbara and I and 2 others co-founded Global Family. And since that time, we've used this vehicle, Global Family, to share these practices with thousands of individuals and groups around the world. So yeah, it was a surprise.
And for Makasha and myself, my husband, we first met Barbara in 1974, a decade before, when she was doing her SynCon process, Synergistic Convergence. And we took this process into a big festival that we were putting on in Boulder, Colorado. And she used the word co-creation, and it wasn't defined. There weren't practices like she and Carolyn and Barbara brought forth 10 years later. But it awakened something in me, a deeper knowing, and all of the various ventures and experiences that Makasha and I did over the decades before meeting Carolyn felt like a natural expression of co-creation. And then when we all met each other in the late 80s and brought our work and our lives together, that's when it became clear as an actually articulated process and with very specific practices to help ground it, to help embody it more. So we've been working together for, 30 years or so, and co-founded a community in northern New Mexico called Hummingbird Community in 1996, where Makasha and I now live. And the community has been growing for 23 years and is an embodiment of these practices.
And I mean, really shifting from ego to essence is really a prerequisite to come into this ability to co-create. And maybe you can share a few more ingredients which enable us to become co-creators.
Yeah. Well, I would say just a handful of the important ingredients. As you say, it's making that shift, a shift in identity from ego to essence, or we might say from being a person to being presence, to being divine intelligence. And then the resonant field of being in a group with open-hearted people in a non-judgmental space that's safe, to feel safe, and where we can trust one another. And having the ability to look within for our guidance, to stop looking to outside authority, which is how most of us were raised, to looking within to our own guidance.
Mm-hmm. So it's really a movement from the dominant culture of control and domination to one where everyone is empowered to give their gifts, and we support one another in that. And it's a movement toward really a whole reforming of a culture that embodies this understanding, this consciousness.
So what do you see? What can people take away from this workshop, and how can they continue from there? And what is kind of the let's say the bigger perspective of what they can move into?
Well, we are calling this workshop Experiencing Co-Creation. And we named it that because it is an experiential time together. And I think what participants can expect is that they will learn to embody these basic principles so that they can take them back into their lives, share them with their families, with their colleagues, with their communities, and to form their own core groups around either, consciously evolving with others and or working on a project together in the world to serve both themselves, their own fulfillment, and to serve the greater society.
Mm-hmm. And the other aspect I think that participants come away with most often in our workshops is a feeling of possibility for the future, that they've had a soul yearning for something different and that they can see the pathway forward to actually creating it.
And I just want to recommend the book again, because my experience, you have a relationship with this book. It's working with you. It's not reading. You are starting to work, or the book works with you and you are in a relationship with it. So, and I'm really looking forward, and I want to thank you that you make this big jump to Europe and share the workshop also here in Europe with us. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Perea. It is our delight.
We look forward to all being together.